On Tuesday, I went through... Why do I always do this? On Tuesday, I went through the subclass and species options from the field guide to Floral Dragons. And today, I want to show you off some of the rest of the book. This is a book primarily for introducing these amazing and very pretty dragons into your campaign, or maybe even building an entire world around them. That would be up to you. So it's definitely mostly for DMs and GMs, or any others, I guess. So I thought I would show off a few of the chapters just to make sure you know what it is you're getting and whether or not you want to get it, because I think that's important. My name is Jason. This is the Dungeon Himbo, my channel where I go through all kinds of different reviews, usually for stuff for D&D Beyond, and I do tier lists and builds as well for different characters. If you like the sound of any of that, you should subscribe, because I am aiming to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which should theoretically be achievable, but is also pushing my luck ever so slightly. And you can also hop into the Discord if you would like to do so. There are links in the description. That's the stuff. Let's get into the review part of the whole thing, shall we? Although it's more of just showing everything off today. And so, with showing everything off, let's start off with a couple of the stat blocks. The way that the chapters are laid out is like this, as you can see. It has an explanation as to what the various creatures are like. You get this beautiful artwork and a really interesting tick box instead of the usual stat block, as well as different writing based on different characters who are introduced in the introduction, so you can read it in their voice if you would like to. You then get a lot of lore for the for the dragons as well, explaining how it is they came to be, a lot about the theoretical version of the world that these could be in, and just generally what it is that they do and how they evolved to do so, along with yet more absolutely stunning artwork. And then it goes through the physiology as well. This one, for example, explains that apple tree dragons grow to over twice the size of true apple trees, reaching around 40 feet in height. Their actual lifespan is unclear, as there are no reports of apple trees dying of old age, only of injury or disease. It then gives you an amazing description you can use if you're introducing these to your players and you're using Theatre of the Mind, or you have a mini which isn't quite right, which is a pain we all know too well. You then get information on the habitat of dragons, as well as a few things that they might be threatened by or try to threaten, depending on the dragon you are looking at, which is amazing for making them feel like real creatures. That's kind of what this is. This is the Dr. Drolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs, but for made-up flower dragons. It wants you to read this as though this was a genuine bestiary and an encyclopedia of sorts, and I really like that as a vibe. And then obviously you get behaviors as well, which explains whether or not they would hang out with people. This one says that they are always found along the company of humans because they like to have them nearby, basically. These ones do not need to eat or drink, instead they photosynthesize energy and draw water and nutrients from the soil, and they rarely move, preferring to keep their root-like projections of the forelimbs buried for the most of part. They're lazy. It also has special items. There are a bunch of items that come with the book. I'd say a bunch, but enough. All of which are linked to various dragons, which is just a nice touch. We'll go through those later. That is a big old apple. Imagine the crumble you could make with that. And then you get a table for motivations and everything else, all the kinds of things that you would generally need to set up an adventure. And I think that's basically another area in which this book really excels, in that it wants you to make an adventure around each and every single one of these dragons and gives you the tools you need to do so. Let's talk stat blocks a bit, because stats are important. The apple tree dragon is one of the highest CR creatures with a massive CR of 27. It's a 22 AC, only a +2 initiative, and it is not a fast lad. It is gargantuan and typically lawful good. Has 546 hit points, a speed of 50 feet, and a swim speed of 40 feet. Max strength, max intelligence, nearly max wisdom. Just generally good stats all around, apart from its dex, which is not good. You then get all the usual things. It has generally very strong skills across the board due to being CR 27. Has dark vision and tremor sense of 120 feet, resistances to fire, lightning, radiant, and thunder, and some interesting traits. It has legendary resistances, which are good, and its weapons count as magical, which is another hint which I'm pretty sure this was written for 5e, and it's been moved over to 5.5e, but I think it can be used with both. I could be wrong in that, though. Please let me know if you are a 5e player and I am incorrect. It's just the way the things are written makes me believe that that's the case. This one also does extra damage if it charges towards someone and can potentially make them prone. It has multi-attack, which allows you to make its regal floral presence, which is here, extends a protective force over any number of creatures of its choice it is aware of within 300 feet, not including itself, which gain a damage resistance, and if a target of that gains any hit points, it regains the highest number possible for each die rolled, which lasts for a minute. It then uses its 3 attacks, one with a ram, which is a plus 18 to hit for an average of 41 damage, and 2 with its tail, which is a plus 18 hit with 43 average damage. It can also heal through Healing Light, and it has a Sunlight Breath, which is a massive 90-foot cone, 24 DC con save, which is terrifying, and deals 12d10 damage and blinds the creature for a minute as well. It also has a special reaction to protect smaller creatures than itself, and it has legendary actions too, one of which allows it to heal. It then goes over the different lair actions it might have, as well as regional effects within a mile radius of the creature, I believe it is, although this one actually is within 10 miles. People tend to be less argumentative and more collaborative. Maybe we could do with more of those. On rainy days, a rainbow can almost always be seen arcing towards the dragon. That's so cool. On the other side of the apple dragon, we have the Manchineel dragon, which is what if the apple dragon was real grumpy. It has all of the same information that you would need to run this as a whole adventure if you wanted to. This guy's edgy. The one on the D8 for the personality traits is I don't want friends, others will only disappoint me. I put myself first because nobody else ever has. This dude needs a hug. Maybe you could just hug this one. This one is CR25, so it's not as strong. Very similar stats, generally speaking, not quite as intelligent, not quite as wise, but quite potent, and if it takes fire damage, it erupts into a 40-foot radius sphere of poisonous smoke as well, which is a nice feature. I wish we had more features in D&D that made the most of different elemental interactions. This remains something I really want to work on, but not today. It has lair actions, including it can burrow, which is very, very cool, and a few other big AoEs as well. And if it rains within a mile of this creature, it's acid rain instead. You have to love it. He's real grumpy. Then got the Aconite dragon, which is large instead of gargantuan. This was apparently created accidentally by a witch. I was going to say relatable, but I don't know that I like the implications I'm giving there. There's also... You do have the stat blocks here for the standard Aconite dragon and the greater Aconite dragon as well. Sorry if I am saying that incorrectly. This time around it's a CR9 dragon, but we have dragons all across the challenge rating range, so you will be able to find a cool flower dragon for whatever it is you are trying to do. The greater Aconite dragon does have its own stat block, but it also has a quick summary as to what it is that it does here. You can't see that. That's awfully formatted for that. We'll leave that there then. Also, the greater Aconite one has 3 heads. It's just, I just adore the art for this book. It's so pretty. Then we've got the Children of the Wolf Tree, which is another chapter. This one has the Azalea Dragon, which is medium. This is one of the ones that you can turn into if you are the Druid class from this. It's probably worth having some understanding of. It has Pack Tactics, which is fun. I just love Pack Tactics, but it's only CR1. And then the Rhododendron Dragon, which is also one you can turn into, I believe. The Dandelion Dragon is possibly the most intriguing one for me. It's a tiny dragon, but it can mess with time. Once Dandelion Dragons were timekeepers, the flow of time in the Fey realm is notoriously inconsistent with time in other planes. Before there were any Dandelion Dragons on the material plane, a young mage named Braminia cast a spell with a time limit to travel the Fey realm for scholarly research. However, the erratic passage of time confused her and she missed the deadline to return home. That's just funny. This is another one you can turn into, by the way, as the Druid, which is neat. They can also just speed up time to take an additional action on its turn once per day. They're not very strong, but it's a nifty little feature nevertheless. Can I interest you in a Vampire Lily Dragon? Same sort of stuff. What CR is this one? CR14, middle of the pack. Plus 11 to hit, doing 16 average damage. It can grapple creatures and restrain them as well. It has a stinky breath, but has a keen smell. A funny juxtaposition for sure, along with poison spines. It's not just dragons we're getting though, we've also got pests and pollinators, things that would help or hinder the dragons. In this case, you've got this adorable, I say adorable, this horrible, I don't know, maybe it's cute-ish, it probably wouldn't be in real life, but it's like a little snail with legs. Actually, now that I've said that out loud, I've changed my mind. The Floravore obviously eats flowers and can dig into different floral dragons as well. And then there's the Vespon, which is like a little dragon bee. You get a queen of them, someone who's looking after them. Along with that, you get information on the fungus and the mushroom dragon. So the Plursa fungus is a fungus which takes control of the dragons basically and can corrupt them. It completely changes how they work, which is a really interesting way of doing things, and it gives you information on how you can corrupt the dragons as well as what level it is that they're at and how that would affect them. This is a great adventure hook if you want to try to save one of these corrupted dragons. I think this is a fantastic way to introduce this into a campaign. They're all very Fae themed though, so I do feel like this is very Fae coded. It then has specific stat blocks for different creatures, as well as an actual mushroom dragon, which is CR 21, which means I cannot throw it at my players in Chult. Not yet, at least. The corrupted Wisteria dragon here is absolutely haunting, so good work there too. The final thing I want to show off is the magic item list. It also has a list of all the creatures by challenge rating, so you can see that we go from CR 1/4 all the way up to CR 27, so you're getting a good mix of new dragons here. And obviously, if you are running any of these, you can just change the vibe of the dragon to be a different offshoot of the standard ones if you want to include them in a standard Faerun campaign and you don't fancy them all being flower dragons, which is something I always recommend DMs do to keep their things interesting. In terms of the items, we're getting things like Armor of the Lily Dragon, the Vampire Lily Dragon, sorry, which gives you a +1 bonus to your AC, and then if a creature grapples you or hits you with a melee attack, they must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take damage. I can read. Cherry Blossom token is from a Cherry Blossom Dragon. You get special weapons as well, which is any sword, arrow, or dart, which can deal decent poison damage, as well as paralyzing creatures. Got Dandelion Hourglass to give you advantage on initiative rolls. Grooming Rakes, you've got the dragon we saw earlier, and a few other things. There's not a mass of items here, but there's a nice little mix. It's overall it's just a really cute book. But there's not much else to show off. I don't want to go through every single dragon, and obviously I'm not going to read you the physiology or habitats. I don't think my voice is anywhere near soothing enough to warrant that kind of ASMR attempt, nor do I want to whisper into my microphone, and no, you do not want me to. But I hope that this has been helpful for you. I think if you're buying the book solely for the player options, as I said, I don't think it's a fantastic investment as much as I love the flavour of them. If you're buying it for the dragons, that's really what this is all about. And the subclasses and the floral dragonborn species are just a nice little bonus on top of that. There's a lot here to read, and it does strike me as one of those books that you could just sit down and read. This is also one of those books that, if I'm being completely honest, I would be more tempted, if I had space, to buy this as a physical edition. I'm happy to have access to it on D&D Beyond. It makes my life a lot easier as a DM that runs things entirely online, most of the time at least. But having this kind of thing in person, it just strikes me as one of those books that you could just sit down and skim through and read, and it's beautiful in every sense of the word. And I really like that. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on the Field Guide to Floral Dragons. Let me know if you're thinking about picking it up or not, and why, either way. Also, if you are excited about any of the player subclasses, please let me know as well. If you haven't watched that video, you can check it out on one of these probably. But that is it for me today. I hope that you are well and you continue to do well. I hope that you take care of yourself and you have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. I will be back on Monday with another character build. I can't think of any characters that fit the vibe of the subclasses here, so it probably won't be one from Floral Dragons. It might be one from Valda's Spire of Secrets. And then next week, I will have access to Arcana Unleashed finally, so I'll be putting out some videos on that as well, even though everyone else already has. But, you know, I like reading stuff. I like reviewing things. That's why I am doing the videos. So we push on. But that's it. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you whenever it is I next see you. Goodbye.